Evening. Buyer's remorse. Buy a new car? I'll be moving in. Let's get started.
Sorry, I think there's been a mistake. I bought it from Carvana.
You what?
Yeah, great price. I even have 7 days to love it or return it.
So there's no...
No buyer's remorse. More like buyer's rejoice.
I guess I'll let myself out. Congratulations. I mean it.
Buyer's rejoice. Buy your car today on Carvana.
Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Not only do these guys give you the best Jazz coverage in the market, they've got you covered with the Mammoth, the Cougars, the Utes, and the Aggies. This is Chase Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob in 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Big trade going down in Jazz land today. It's going to be a sign-and trade. Walker Kessler goes to the Lakers in exchange for 2 first-round picks unprotected in 31 and 33 and 2 pick swaps. Ben, in 28 and 30. And Walker's going to turn around with the Lakers and sign a 4-year deal. And his AAV, Ben?
32.5.
32.5.
Yeah.
You may know per year, but it's no longer called that. It's now called AAV.
We're switching over.
Because some snooty NBA person used it trying to sound smart.
And it's just completely inaccurate, by the way. Because, again, if Walker starts out at $29 million, his number is 29. That's what comes out of the salary, not 32.5. In hockey, it's just the flat average rate that comes out of your salary cap. That's not the case in basketball. So, yes, he'll $32.5 million average per year, but, yeah, probably starts at 29 or might start at 38 and work his way down. I don't know. And there's a player option, right, in the last year, I believe?
Yep, the 4th year is.
So pretty advantageous for Walker. That's not a bad deal. That's a great deal. You know who won today? Walker.
Oh, yeah, Walker's making more money than he should, for sure.
He cashed in. He took advantage of a desperate market. He gets to go play with Luka Doncic. There's a lot more eyeballs on him. If that's all that he wants, he really nailed it. And honestly, he's on a better team today than he was with the Jazz.
I saw some Talk Snap Bozo, so who knows if this is accurate or not, who did the math on the taxes, and Walker's actually coming up behind.
I've heard that.
But I have no idea.
You do have to understand that players pay taxes in every city they play in.
Yeah,
so it's actually only 43 of the 82 games because they play twice.
Well, I don't know how this guy
it's
did
less than that because they also play in Golden State and Sacramento, et cetera. But yes.
I don't know how this guy did
I totally
the math.
believe
I
it.
have no idea.
I believe it. That's 41 games at a much higher tax rate on millionaires than you face in Utah.
And I don't know if Walker's personality is going to be the charismatic Hollywood type that would invite more sponsors, but maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. They may just throw money at you because you wear a Lakers jersey.
No, they threw money at, well, no, not them. The Lakers threw money at Walker because they're desperate for a center. I mean, they overpaid for Walker. We'll see how this turns out in the end. But as far as that contract right now, that's steep. Steep.
I said this on social media earlier. I'm curious if you felt this ever through every pre-half and post-game show you did. You've listened to every single Will Hardy press conference.
For the most part.
Since Walker Kessler joined the Jazz. Yeah, minus, 5? In all honesty,
right.
I mean, you haven't missed many games. I only ever got the impression that the Jazz were mostly bought in on Walker and not fully bought in on Walker. And I only ever got the impression that Walker was mostly bought in on the Jazz and not fully bought in on the Jazz. If I'm being honest with you, this was not, I'm trying to think of like perfect marriages in NBA history, if there is one. Dirk Nowitzki with the Dallas Mavericks maybe is a good example of it. And look, Dirk's one of the greatest players of all time. I never got the impression that Walker and the Jazz was a perfect marriage for either side, and I don't know if I know why that's the case. Now, I was told as recently as yesterday that the Jazz love Walker. So I don't think that this was what the Jazz's plan was to sign and trade Walker. I don't think there were sign and trade deals for Walker on the table as of Sunday night. Like, I think this really did materialize pretty quickly. But I will say I'm not sure the Jazz were ever like so sold on Walker that this is an unbelievable outcome, and I can't believe these two sides aren't going to be tied together going forward.
Well, yeah, they didn't max him out, so they didn't.
Yeah,
I mean, they didn't love him with all their heart. I do love messaging like that. Oh, we love him.
Yeah.
Of course you love him.
Yeah.
Walker is a good player. Now you've got to project. You've got to decide how important he is to your current roster, to your future roster. What's he going to be? And then you have to make a calculated risk or not. And I think that's exactly what they did. If everything was hunky-dory and they all got along and they all shared the vision of who Walker was going to be, they wouldn't have been in this position in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're telling me that it wasn't ideal and the Jazz weren't convinced he was going to turn into Shaq, I would believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they were, they would have paid him last year. It's true. I mean, it's the same.
Yeah, absolutely right.
It's the same thing with LeBron. You know, you asked, or we brought it up. I don't know if you specifically asked me, like, where's LeBron going to be? And my answer to you was always not the Lakers.
Yeah.
Because they would have extended him if they wanted
Correct.
LeBron.
They told
on
us what they were going to do last year.
the Lakers, 100%. So if the Jazz were convinced that Walker Kessler was going to be amazing and a critical part of their future, well, they would have fixed it last year. And honestly, the same question goes for Keontae George. If the Jazz think he's an all-star guard, they should pay him now. Whatever, max him out now. If you think he's going to be an all-star guard, like a 2010 kind of guard, we'll pay him.
Yeah, for sure.
But is anybody convinced that that is guaranteed to be the future? I doubt the Jazz are. The Jazz might be a little more willing to part with some dough now that they have more dough to part with, and maybe this changes the conversation on getting a deal done this year. But if they were convinced he was going to be Shea, they'd pay him, and they'd pay him now.
Agreed.
So, I mean, if you want to know the Jazz opinion of Walker Kessler, I'm sure they loved him. They didn't love him enough to pay him whatever he wanted.
Yeah, clearly.
So, I don't know. You've talked before about people in Walker's ear, and maybe he was getting some clunky advice. I would believe it. If you think clunky is twist arms to get every nickel that you possibly can, then, I mean, I think that's the advice that he was getting. I don't buy into it's the Lakers. I think he'd be in the same scenario whether it was the Pacers or the Bucks or whatever. I don't think the team mattered. It's who had money to sign Walker Kessler. And the answer to that is the Lakers. Who was the desperate team? The Lakers. Mm-hmm. The Jazz aren't desperate.
No, they didn't need to be desperate.
No, they go into a season without a center. All right, they'll figure it out. They don't have prime Luka Doncic who's barking at him to get him back into contention.
I would suspect Jazz players right now are less excited about the roster than they would have been with Walker.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a good player.
But to your point, the Jazz are not beholden to anyone on this roster the way the Lakers are beholden to Luka Doncic, or every team has ever been beholden to LeBron James when he's been on your roster. You just have to go all out to win a title every year when you have them. The Jazz clearly don't feel that way about Jaren Jackson Jr. or Lowry Markkanen or Keontae George or Ace Bailey or Kyle Filipowski or Darren Peterson. In fact, now I think there is a world where, I don't think the Jazz aren't starting another rebuild. They're not going to trade Lowry and trade Jaren and start over.
No,
because
nobody
they've got all
thinks
these
that.
They're not doing that. That's not what I'm saying. But they do have an opportunity now to say you have enough assets today that you didn't have yesterday where you can start to really look at how to maximize this roster once Darren and Ace Bailey start to come into their own, if you believe they're going to get there. So maybe there's a little less urgency to have to get there quicker, which had you had Walker, that was a sign you were trying to get there quicker.
Well, to have good players and flexibility seems like kind of threading the needle.
Very few teams do.
Yeah.
The Thunder did, and I don't think anyone looks at the Thunder of like having a great offseason so far. They've been okay, but they've given up on Isaiah Joe. Did they trade Wiggins already as well? Like, they've traded some of their kind of fun depth pieces because you can't really have it all. You get expensive. Yes, your assets are fun, but you've got to continue to build off of that. That looked like offsides to me.
I don't think so, dude.
But Senegal might be up 2-0 right now
That was a great goal.
on non-Belarus Belgium. Yeah, that was an awesome goal.
Just
Again,
smoked that thing home.
We were talking about the difference between World Cup and MLS. World Cup is played through the air.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a deep ball. That was Josh Allen on a seam.
And you see the trap? The athletic trap?
Unreal. Yeah. Great first touch.
Not that anybody
Off
saw
the
that,
old
but
chest.
I mean, the level of play is just so bananas.
So high.
But to the folks out there who just look on paper at today and go, they got Jackson Hayes for Walker Kessler? Calm down.
Relax.
That's not. You remember our whole thing, like, what's the plan, Phil? When everybody was panicking during the the rebuild. They're going, do the Angels have a plan? Do they have what's the plan, Phil? The plan is not to replace Walker Kessler with Jackson Hayes, I assure you.
Correct. Nor was it with Yusuf Nurkic.
No, yeah, Nurk is not replacing Walker either. So when they figure out another solution at center, I'm sure it will become apparent. But maybe they go into the year without a center. Honestly, like we were talking about with put Nurk out there, see what you can do. So I think they'd have to sign another body. I really do.
The one thing I would dismiss for everybody, unfortunately, if you're a Jazz fan, is like the idea that they're going to pivot this summer and go get somebody as good as Walker. If that was the case, that's what the Lakers would have done. If Jarrett Allen was available today,
they would have done
for
it.
2 first-round picks and no swaps, they would have just gone and gotten Jarrett Allen. Or if Daniel Gafford was available for 1 pick, I bet the Lakers would have gone and done that. I'm sure the Lakers surveyed the 29 other teams in the NBA and said, what's out there? They said, well, Rudy's not available. Jarrett Allen's not available. Miles Turner's not available. Work their way down, and then you end up with Walker Kessler as a free agent at $32 million plus draft picks. And they decided that was the best option for them. Now, again, what was hard for the Lakers is they had no leverage. They have to give Luka somebody to play with. That was probably contingent on him signing an extension in the first place last year. He was promised. And B, if you don't, Luka's not getting where he needs to be on the floor offensively because he does want someone to come up and set a screen for him and roll to the basket to create space, and he's not playing any defense and there's no one behind him. So there's no value in having Luka on your team if you don't also have a player like Walker. You have to have the other. The Jazz were not fully in that spot because they don't have a Luka. Now, you do need to have a center next to Jaren Jackson Jr., and you have to actually have a center better than Yusuf Nurkic and Jackson Hayes to win at the highest level with Jaren Jackson Jr. But the Jazz didn't feel like they had to win at the highest level this year or give themselves the best chance to win at the highest level this year, and it certainly seems like the Lakers did. Hence the Lakers doing what you love to talk about, acting desperately.
Yep.
And it's a stinky cologne. And the Angels, apparently, and Justin Zanuck, have a nose for it. They have found a lot of desperate teams over the last 4 years and pantsed them in front of a lot of people, and Jazz fans have to hope this is the latest example.
2 unprotected firsts. And pick swaps are now more valuable than they were before because of the randomness of the draft.
That's correct.
So
you have so much less control over your roster that if Luka has a hamstring, has indigestion from too many burgers and beers.
Well, a lot of soft tissue there. A
Whatever.
lot of soft tissue to get hurt.
And you get a lottery pick or a non-playoff team in the Lakers, it's no longer, this is the 14th best team. Again, those odds are, it's like a 9% chance or 8% chance of winning the lottery, when in the past it was 1%.
So those swaps have more
value.
value.
They do have more value, there's no question about it.
Than people think. So, I started the show this way. I think it was a pretty smart, savvy deal. And I like long-term stuff. I mean, when you start getting into sacrificing the short term, that's when you start getting into the desperate territory. Again, the Lakers are desperate to be good around Luka, so they had cap space for the first time in 8 years, and they blew it all in a day, including on overpaying for Walker Kessler in contract alone before you even get to the comp that they sent to the Jazz. Pretty wild, honestly. So we'll see how it turns out. I am rooting for Walker, though. I'm never rooting for Luka or the Lakers, but I'm rooting for Walker. I hope he lives up to it. Being the old maid's no fun. When you've got the bad contracts and everybody's just talking about how do you move off Walker. Look at poor Jakob Poeltl. What's the only reason he's been in the headlines at all over the last 2 years?
Yeah, he's a fine player. He's like a fully fine player.
He's an albatross in everybody's
but he's paid
books.
Wrong.
Yeah, he's paid way wrong, and people just blast him. I truly believe that Andre Karolinko and his contract was the reason that the Darren Williams, Carlos Boozer Jazz teams did not succeed more.
Right.
I'm not going to be the guy who says that they would have won a title if not for Andre. I don't know. But they would have been a better team sans Andre. That is not Andre's fault, nor is that a comment that Andre is a bad player, even though I don't think he was nearly as good as people remember. But that's neither here nor there. He wasn't worth his deal. The Jazz couldn't do anything else because of that crippling deal, and that team ended up, for lack of a better term, capped out with nowhere to go. Mm-hmm. Or else they would have traded Andre Karolinko in a heartbeat, but nobody wanted him. Nobody wanted him at that price point. And then everybody goes, well, why isn't AK better? It's not his fault, but it's a valid question. You've got a max deal. Why are you better?
Yeah.
Why are you better? Mm-hmm. And it would suck to be that guy. So I hope Walker Kessler is not that guy. There is a real chance he will become that guy.
There is a yes. Because, look, it's like a failing business. And I'm not saying the Lakers are going to fail. But when there's a failing business, they generally don't fire the guy at the lowest end. One of the bigger contracts rolls, right? You cut off somebody who's making too much money at the top that they think is...
That hasn't always been my experience, but yeah.
Sure, yes, of course, sometimes they cut the lower. Like, we're talking serious things need an overhaul. Someone at the top, not the very top, that's Luka. That person's not going to roll. The CEO's not going to roll. But they might change around somebody else with a big salary. The first place that they find that they can maybe save some money and not lose the entire identity. And I would worry strongly that could be Walker. Now, it might just be Austin Reeves because he's relatively duplicative of what they already have in Luka. Now, he's not the same player by any means, but they say, well, our backcourt's good. We got Luka. We can pair him with anybody, but we got to have Walker because there's no replacement for him. But if the Lakers don't achieve, somebody's going to get blamed, and it's not going to be Luka, which means there's a 50-50 chance it's Walker or Austin Reeves, and you got to pick who it is.
And Austin Reeves is more popular, so
correct.
Usually it doesn't have anything to do with
and it's going to average 25 points a game.
Yeah.
And everyone likes guys who average 25 points a game. They don't like guys who average 12 and 12, which is probably about who Walker is, maybe 15 and 12.
I think his ceiling is higher than that, but yeah. I mean, Luka throwing him lobs all day, if he turns into a real role guy, I mean, maybe he can get up north of 15.
Maybe.
And I don't know, the way the rebounding was going, maybe he could get up north of 12. I do believe he was a really good, or is a really good rebounder.
Walker's a good player. No question about it.
Don't doubt that. Although I don't know about the rest of these bozos they're signing. I mean, are you thinking the Lakers truly are going to be a top, 4 team in the West?
Top 6.
You think?
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know if that's a guarantee.
Depends on if Luka's healthy and engaged. There is also a part of me that worries that Luka just isn't going to care.
Well,
Luka is a front runner. When things are going well, Luka's awesome. When things get hard, Luka gets hard.
He goes back to Europe.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be any good defensively. I think that issue is still a thing.
Where were they last year? Let me pull that up. Because I think J.J. Redick is a weirdly good, kind of understands defense as well. Let me see if I can figure this out. Regular season. Last year, the Lakers had a defensive rating of... Still scrolling. 20th.
That's not
Yikes.
Yeah. But Walker's better than DeAndre Ayton.
And Jackson Hayes.
But we've seen your starting backcourt having no defensive acumen, and that is tough to scheme around.
No, they probably jump up to the 17th best defensive team, maybe 15th best defensive team. Because they got Walker. They did not go out and find a bunch of other defensive guys. Colin Sexton's a fun player. He's not a particularly good defensive player. Quentin Grimes is a fun player, not going to change your ceiling defensively.
Nope.
Mamas Kelishvili is kind of a stretch 5, gives them some different looks, but yeah, they didn't get a lot better defensively today. They got something they didn't have, which is a rim protector. They didn't get Rudy Gobert, who creates a defense by himself. That's never been who Walker is.
And by the way, I heard some interesting commentary on this. Make no mistake, the Rob Pelinka is desperate. Because this new ownership group, or at least their behavior with the Dodgers, was they replaced pretty much everybody. But they kind of took their time doing it in a nice way. Mm-hmm. So, but after about a year and a half to 2 years, everybody was different. From the manager to the GM to the analyst on the broadcast. They all were kind of eventually traded over in a nice way. And I wonder if they're having a similar approach with the Lakers, and Pelinka's probably thinking I gotta hit a home run here so I can keep my gig.
Well, Pelinka stinks.
Oh yeah,
I gave them a D for the LeBron James 8-year tenure last season or yesterday, I should say, for what they did over the last 8 years. With the news yesterday that LeBron was leaving, I gave him a D, and a lot of that is because Pelinka
is terrible.
Was not that creative. Didn't really figure out great options to make that team a lot better.
Well, he was an empty suit. He just let Clutch do it all.
Do you want me to read you Did you see Anthony Davis's tweet?
I want to hear it.
Making fun of Pelinka. All right, let me see if I can find it here quickly. Somebody, Cuffs the Legend, on Twitter wrote, Anthony Davis practically begged Rob Pelinka to get him a center alongside him for years. Rob didn't budge. Anthony Davis got backdoored. Braun Loki got backdoored, which you and I agree with. They kicked him out. And now he wants to be a competent GM. And now the duo that won you a championship is gone. You can't make this, quote, stuff up. And then put a snake in the grass. And Anthony Davis just replied with a bunch of laughing emojis like, I don't think there's a lot of respect for Rob Pelinka as a GM, including from Anthony Davis.
Well, no, he's not very good. But listen, Anthony Davis, if I were to sit him down and be like, you're a big dude. Stop begging for a center.
Yeah, right.
That's you.
That is your job.
You are the center.
Correct.
Are you not paying attention? That is you. Karl Anthony Towns finally figured out he was a center, Ben. And he turned into a much better player. Mm-hmm. Much more important, obviously, on a championship team because he finally decided, I'm going to have to be the guy who's the center. Okay.
Yeah.
And then he was pretty good at it.
Right.
Anthony Davis begging for a center. I remember that's the whole reason the Pelicans got DeMarcus Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes.
I'm with you.
That's the reason Minnesota got Rudy Gobert. And it didn't work out.
Correct.
So, and then he got traded, Karl Anthony Towns, and finally they tried to put him with Mitchell
Doggone
Robinson.
it, I'll be a 5.
Do you remember? They started Mitchell Robinson for a long time. And he realized somebody got through to him. Like, dude, you're a big. You've got to play like a big. You've got to be a big.
Play big.
Play big.
And he did, and they won a title.
And they were really dang good. Crazy how that happens.
Really funny.
And you know what? And I would tell him this too. It's amazing how much more willing Jalen Brunson was to pass you the ball when you're playing tough and playing big.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. No go on Buha. That's all right. I thought we salvaged a pretty good segment.
Do our best.
Senegal is now up another goal. I told you it wasn't offsides.
You're right. That was a great pass.
Cole Bagley coming up next. We'll talk about the Mammoth made a trade today. We'll get Cole's thoughts. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Evening. Buyer's remorse. Buy a new car? I'll be moving in. Let's get started.
Sorry, I think there's been a mistake. I bought it from Carvana.
You what?
Yeah, great price. I even have 7 days to love it or return it.
So there's no...
No buyer's remorse. More like buyer's rejoice.
I guess I'll let myself out. Congratulations. I mean it.
Buyer's rejoice. Buy your car today on Carvana.
Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Finding ways to be financially savvy is a smart move, and knowing you could be saving money for the things you really want, like that dream home or new ride, is a great feeling. That's why the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you save when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Head to statefarm.com to get a quote. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Senegal still up on Belgium 2-0. Just a reminder that if the U.S. can beat Bosnia and Herzegovina, they would play the winner of this match. I'd have to look at the rankings, Ben, but I would think Senegal winning is a huge upset. That's probably pretty good for Team USA, who has had trouble beating European teams.
Yep.
So, big trade in Mammoth land today. Vincent Trochek is on his way from New York to Utah in exchange for Sean Durzi, Cole Beaudoin, and a third-round pick. Joining us now to talk about it, our Mammoth Insider for KSLSports.com. He has a breakdown of the trade up online at KSLSports.com as we speak. He's our buddy Cole Bagley. What's going on, Cole?
How much, guys? How you doing?
We're doing well. All right, Cole, give us a breakdown on who Vincent Trochek is and why he's been somebody that's been closely linked to the Mammoth, and apparently they've been chasing for a while.
Yeah, I mean, Vincent Trochek is one of those gritty, grimy veteran centers that are hard to come by, and Utah has long since coveted him because that's an area that they've greatly lacked. Obviously, as reported by Elliot Friedman, this is a guy that they've been after for some time. They even tried acquiring him last season, but weren't able to get it done. But, coming into free agency in the off season, it finally worked out because Trochek was looking for a new place to go, a new a change of scenery, and Utah had obviously opened up some cap space and were willing to part with a couple of those assets to get a guy like that. So no, I think this is a great fit for the Mammoth. Obviously he's 32, so he's probably a little bit older than you would necessarily hope or want, but he's very experienced. He won a gold medal with Team USA just a few months ago, was on the team with Clayton Keller, was a huge part of the United States power kill, and like I said, I think this is a really good pickup for Utah.
Lineup wise, where does he fit?
It's a good question. Utah now has a lot better center depth than they've had over recent years. Obviously, Schmaltz moved to center. They've got Logan Cooley. They re-signed Kevin Stenlund today as well. They're still trying to work things out with Barrett Hayton. And so, the question is, where does he fit in? Is it worth moving Schmaltz back to the wing and Trochek as your 1C, or is it better to have Trochek maybe as your third line center? There's a lot that will definitely need to be worked out, but that's why you have training camp, and I'm sure Utah will definitely figure those things out from there.
Just as far as how much better are the Mammoth today? Just big picture, a lot better, a little bit better. This is a major piece. This is a guy you're counting on the playoffs. How do you view it?
I think they're a little bit better. This isn't an acquisition of a guy like a Zach Werenski or a Dylan Larkin or an Austin Matthews or he's not a superstar, but he's a guy that I think can come in and help continue to improve the culture of the Utah Mammoth, who can come in and help fill some needs. Looking back at their postseason run against Vegas, one thing that Coach Andre Tourney talked to us about just last week in regard to that was, both he and the front office have been reflecting a lot on their current roster and looking at guys who were just 82 game players and guys who could help them go beyond that, right? Which guys are going to not only play 82, which guys are going to step up in the postseason when it matters most. And I think getting a guy like Vincent Trochek signals to this team that they're raising the expectations, that it's not just about getting to the playoffs, but it's about winning a playoff series. And I think Trochek is a guy that can help them do that.
We had Kyler Yamamoto on yesterday after his contract extension. Are there any other guys that they have to make a decision on whether or not to re-sign?
No, I mean, for the most part, everybody's moved on at this point that's going to move on. Kerfoot signed with Nashville. Ian Cole signed with Chicago. They obviously did not decide to bring back Vanacek, who signed with the New York Islanders, and then bringing back Yamamoto, signing Stenlund today. I think the only one really remaining of that group is Barrett Hayton, but he's a restricted free agent, and things are a little bit different as the team has filed for arbitration. So beyond that, most of their pending free agents have now got new deals.
What do you think of how much the Mammoth gave up? What do you think of Durzi, who had some moments? It didn't seem like he ever really quite lived up to some of the expectations for him, and then we have not seen Cole Beaudoin yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a pretty decent trade package. I think it's pretty fair going both ways. It's tough. It's tough to part with a prospect like Cole Beaudoin. I've been able to watch him this week at development camp. I'm sure it's pretty strange for him. He's in Utah one day and the next he's traded to New York. I'm sure he's packing his bags and getting ready to head out east to join that group. It's tough because he's a very competitive guy. I think he's a very good all-around 200-foot player that could have made an impact for this team. But at some point, Utah has an embarrassment of riches. They have so many young prospects that they can't even sign all of them. And, they obviously just scored with, their first-round draft pick this year in Ethan Belchez, and, a bigger guy who, can add, I think, a little bit more than a guy like Cole Beaudoin can. Obviously, two different positions, but really, really good player with a lot of size. And so, I'm sure that the front office looked at it and went, look, we've got more guys than we can sign. We've got to move them. We really like Trochek, and Cole Beaudoin's probably a guy that moves the needle enough to get them to make the deal. In terms of Sean Durzi, I don't know that they're going to really miss him all that much. He was a good player. I think his role was more of kind of a cheerleader, kind of a guy that, a good locker room guy who was going to, fight for anybody, stand up for anybody. But he had some pretty, notable mistakes this year. He's a guy that, He tries to be a puck mover a little bit too much, and if you looked a little bit deeper at his metrics and analytics, he cost the Mammoth a lot of goals. And so I think they probably looked at that and said, you know what, we can get a guy like Trochek. We're going to give up, a good prospect, but we have plenty. And then, things with Sean Durzi just aren't quite working out. We have other guys that we can have fill in for us. So overall, I think it's a win-win for both teams. New York needed some youth. They needed to add more to their prospect pool, so they get a good prospect in Cole Beaudoin, and then coming the other way, a very, very talented veteran center in Vincent Trochek that I think slightly raises the ceiling for this team.
Okay, you mentioned that glut of prospects and young talent. Who of those has a chance to make the team next year?
Yeah, this fall, I think that I'd say that the expectation, for this fall is that Boot and Simashev probably make their roster. Those are two guys that obviously spent a little bit of time with the Mammoth this last year, but they played the majority of the season in the AHL. And I say that should be the expectation because they've been in the prospect pool, they've been in the system for quite a few years, and I think it would mean that something's wrong if those two aren't ready to make the roster. But I think seeing Durzi on the move, seeing Utah not pursue re-signing Ian Cole, I think that kind of I think that is a nod that Simashev is probably ready to make this team. As for Daniil Boot, I think the fact that they have passed on a couple of other forwards, I think that's also a pretty good nod and gives you a pretty good idea that he's potentially ready to make the opening day roster. And then amongst the rest of their prospects, they've got a lot of first-round picks, right? They've still got Denoye, they've got Iginla. They've got their recent first-round pick in Ethan Belchez. I would say that one of either Iginla or Denoye will probably make the opening night roster. And, there's a couple of different ways to look at it. I know that Denoye, he's probably got the best overall skill. But, when I look at a guy like T.J. Iginla, this past week, he's just looked like a player that's ready to make the team. Despite it just being a development camp, he realizes and recognizes that there are eyeballs on him right now. I mean, Bill Armstrong is watching him very closely. Bear has been, sniffing around development camp, and he has an opportunity to show them that he means business even during a camp that really doesn't matter all that much. This is a camp where they're not necessarily looking at skill, it's more about culture. But Tej has taken every opportunity to be laser focused and show off his skill and talent. So I think based on what I've seen this week and based on the new additions that Utah has made today by bolstering their center depth, I would say that T.J. Ginla might be starting to emerge from those two as the most likely to make the team.
Cole, we appreciate you and all your fine work following breaking news, man. We appreciate it.
Great stuff, Cole.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
There you go, Cole Bagley, the Utah Mammoth Insider. Yeah, trade for now. I think that's the position that the Mammoth are in at the moment. They've got a glut of young prospects and players, so if they're not quite there, find something that's going to help you at the moment. I think the Mammoth need to be a threat in the playoffs next year. I think that's where the bar moves.
And if Trochek brings the toughness, even though he's not huge, 5'11", though, if he's tough in front of the net and can get, as Cole said, get some of those grimier goals and maybe kind of take a load off of some other players, that's a huge plus because they were clearly missing that in the playoffs. And look, the team they nearly beat in the playoffs, nearly doesn't matter, but nearly beat in the playoffs, went to the Stanley Cup Finals. So just need to get hot and have the right players.
Say that again, Christian. Come on the air.
The Utah Mammoth, per Frank Saravalli, just signed Anders Lee. He was a captain for the New York Islanders.
Okay.
So the Mammoth taking another big name New York player.
See if we can get our Mammoth Insider Cole Bagley on the phone.
I wonder if he's busy.
What he's up to.
Missed that news. Come on now. Okay, so another signing for the Mammoth.
Aggressive.
Continue to be active.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the franchise feels like next year could be a positive step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Onward and upward, Ben.
Yep.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more Jake and Ben coming up next. We'll continue to talk Jazz and Walker Kessler. We've got Big T Thurl Bailey. Yes, no big deal. Big T is going to be on the show at the top of the 4 o'clock hour. Stay tuned. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Queen Carvania stood haloed by the morning sun, An army hung on her every word.
My champions, I have sold my chariot on Carvana. 'Twas a lovely SUV, an inexplicably queenly offer. They're even coming to the castle to collect it. Tonight, we feast!
An offer you can feast on. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson. Now, every day from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
So Win Ticket Wednesday, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Good one today. Be caller 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. You're going to win a Friends and Family 5-pack of tickets to go see Post Malone with special guests Jelly Roll and Carter Faith at Rice-Eccles Stadium on July 28th. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com or simply be caller 12, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE. How about this report from Jake Fisher, Ben? Signing Walker Kessler was a bigger priority for the Lakers than re-signing LeBron James. You know, Jake, you've broken some news in the past. I don't think this is that.
This isn't breaking news.
Because that's quite literally what happened. Not just Walker, by the way, but Austin Reeves and some other.
All these pieces.
All these pieces.
That will, though, what's the word I'm looking for? Not inexplicably. It will always be tied to Walker Kessler. That his incoming is tied to LeBron's exit. LeBron had to leave for Walker to be a possibility for the Lakers. So he will always be measured with that as part of his reputation. That will always be a part of the narrative. That the Lakers traded LeBron, which is not what happened, for Walker.
Did not sign LeBron because of Walker.
Correct.
Yeah, but not LeBron James. Old, dusty LeBron
Correct.
James.
Older LeBron.
Who
No
doesn't
question.
like to run.
And is in his last season.
And
You're trying to get, 4 years now of Walker.
Adele's fiance did a podcast. Did you see? He was talking about why LeBron is leaving and what his priorities are. He said it's pure happiness. That's what LeBron wants to find. Wants to make the decision based on happiness, not on money. But if you read between the lines in all these statements, he's implying that the Lakers were offering money.
Correct.
He implies it to the Lakers. Like if they made the decision based on money and not happiness, he would have stayed with the Lakers.
Jake, the other part of this that you're not saying is if you leave your wife and I say what happened, you say, I just want to be happy. What does that imply? You weren't happy with your wife.
Right.
That's the other part of kind of the implication of all of this.
Right. And
But
then,
yes, I had the money, but I want to be happy. That means you weren't happy there, but really I think it's probably the inverse of both
It
of
is the inverse.
He was probably thrilled to be a member of the Lakers.
and in L.A.
In L.A.
making $50 million. But they weren't going to offer you 50. They were going to offer you 0. And that's why you're going somewhere else.
I love liars. I love when people lie. I think it's funny when you can see the lies. And this
It's
was
pure
a lie.
PR. Yeah, it's a pure lie.
Yeah.
Pure lie. I'm prioritizing happiness, not money.
Yeah.
If I were prioritizing money, I would have taken the money the Lakers were offering. The problem is the Lakers weren't offering any money. So I had to go somewhere else. But breaking news, Jake Fisher is technically correct. I don't know if we needed the report, but yes, signing Walker Kessler was a bigger priority for the Lakers than re-signing LeBron. I would argue that the day they traded for Luka was the day they moved on from LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
And we can talk about them not extending
you
him
were
a contract.
exactly right. The fact that they didn't tell LeBron they were trading for Luka, they let everybody know this is no longer LeBron's team.
No, we joked about it that day. That was Linda Rambus taking her franchise back. Now, it didn't stay Linda's for very long because they then sold the team, and Linda got a $24 million payout. Good day to be Linda.
Correct.
I don't know if she carries that kind of weight in the locker room these days, but yeah, the Lakers moved on from LeBron as soon as they traded for Luka. The way the way that they traded for Luka is another clue to that. They wanted their franchise back.
Yeah.
And so at no point was LeBron going to sign again with the Lakers. Now, do you want to? Are you still in the Golden State camp?
Probably yes.
I'm still saying Cleveland.
Okay.
But you think Miami would be interesting too?
Did Belgium just tie it up?
Did they just tie it
in
up?
the final 2 minutes with goals
Back
in
to
the
back?
last 5 minutes. I mean, just awesome goals. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that stinks for the U.S.
Apparently, Senegal and Belgium are
pretty even?
nearly identical.
Oh, okay.
As far as kind of their expectation going into this. Now, look, it's tied. It's 2-2. It's not 2-0. But clearly, Belgium has all the momentum. They've just put 2 goals in the back of the net in the last 5 minutes. In the 85th and 89th minute. So they're on fire.
Because I was just complaining during the break that they're a team with no urgency, down 2-0 in the final 10 minutes of the game. And then all of a sudden, I guess that's why people love soccer.
A couple of unreal goals. Man, the World Cup's been fun.
Do you think the U.S. will beat Bosnia and Herzegovina?
I have my doubts.
Or do you think what's her name in L.A. is going to have to leave the country?
Abigail Velez.
Uh-huh.
ABC might be looking for a new field reporter.
She's got to go.
She's got to go.
Got to go. You let down the whole country.
Fired up the beaks.
Let down the whole country. Giving bulletin board material to the opponent. See, they should have been They should have been listening to this show where we've done nothing but kiss Bosnia and Herzegovina's butts for the last 3 weeks. Welcome them to town. We gave them 0 bulletin board material.
We tried to just butter them up.
Yeah, exactly.
Soften them up.
Soften them up.
Yeah.
Now we'll see what happens. 6:00 kickoff, and they're playing in Santa Clara, if memory serves.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for the game.
And then they move on to face the winner of this. And again, Belgium and Senegal are now tied up at 2 apiece. Oh, the manager for somebody's getting a yellow card.
Oh.
I didn't know coaches could get a yellow
It's like
card.
a tech. Looks like for Belgium.
Why are you unhappy, bro? You just scored.
It's just fired up. Apparently, by the way, Anders Lee, we just barely touched on it, who signed with the Mammoth also, is kind of their big free agent signing so far. 3 years, about $15 million. AAV, just over $5 million. That's the big body. We were talking about Trochek not being that big. Anders Lee, 6'3", 235.
Okay.
Beefy.
A little more built.
A little beefy boy, yeah. Big guy. Also, apparently a nice guy. Won the Clancy Award, which is the humanitarian award, like best leader off the ice.
Tom Clancy?
Yeah, named after famed crime.
He's not a crime writer. He writes military. In fact, I watched The Hunt for Red October the other day. Randomly found it on.
Okay. How was it?
Great movie.
Holds up?
Absolutely holds up. All those movies hold up. Although I will, this is I know it's not Tuesday, but my hot take is Alec Baldwin is the best Jack Ryan.
Okay. Did we draft Alec Baldwin in our great fall-offs? By the way, today's Wednesday. Are we doing What You Got Wednesday at 4:30?
Probably should.
Probably should talk about it.
I've got some ideas.
Okay.
At least for the not sports one.
Okay. I think we suggested a few recently too. You might have some in the coffers. But okay, we'll figure.
He's the
out.
Mike Conley of the NHL.
Mike Conley of the NHL. Nice guy. Good guy.
All right. Well, that's nice. So he's not going to be robbing liquor stores or anything. In theory. But yeah, the Mammoth need toughness, right?
Who's the last athlete to rob a liquor store?
Oh, there's got to be someone somewhere.
Yeah, probably. But liquor store's pretty low level. They don't have a lot of cash on them.
Well, I think that's why you rob liquor stores is because they do have a lot of cash on them. But I don't think...
Or maybe you're not robbing it for the cash.
I don't think anywhere has a lot of cash on them anymore.
Not no more. Tom Clancy is best known for writing, quote, techno thrillers, which feature technical details and espionage. Military science. But you're right, it's still military. You're right. But it has to do with the I've never heard techno thriller I was curious what his exact genre was.
I've never heard of that. He writes military novels.
Technically accurate military novels, yeah.
The series with Jim from The Office is actually pretty good.
Is it?
Have you watched it?
It's also what's his name?
Tom Clancy.
Yeah.
Jack Ryan.
That's what we're
not
talking
Clancy,
about.
Jack Ryan. It's all
Yeah,
they're all
it's all
Jack
Ryan, yeah.
Every single one of them's Jack Ryan.
Nah, Crimson Tide wasn't, but yeah.
Everything else though. It's his guy.
Yeah, have you ever read a Tom Clancy book?
I don't think I have. I should pick one up.
It's a thick read.
Yeah.
One of those. It's an investment.
Yep.
It's not an easy beach read. It's definitely more of an investment.
Okay.
And I think he stopped writing his books a long time ago.
He's just been living off the cash.
No, Tom Clancy books continue to come out, but they're usually says Tom Clancy on the cover, and then it says also by Ben Anderson. You know what I mean?
I mean, he's been dead since 2013. So.
Well, so that would explain it.
He's got a new one coming out next year.
Die in 2013?
How does he do it?
Well, his family's making out like they made a movie out of it recently.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah, not bad.
No? All right. Stay tuned. Thorough Big T Bailey is going to be on the show next. And then we'll have a What You Got Wednesday at 4:30. It's the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Queen Carvania stood haloed by the morning sun. An army hung on her every word.
My champions, I have sold my chariot on Carvana. 'Twas a lovely SUV, an inexplicably queenly offer. They're even coming to the castle to collect it. Tonight, we feast.
An offer you can feast on. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.